Hi, everyone. This is your host, Michelle, and you're listening to the Mindful Podcast, the show that aims to break the stigma associated with mental health. Today, we'll be talking about the struggles with mental health, the stigma associated with receiving treatment, and the shortage of culturally competent mental health providers within the African American community, with Dr. Curtis Jasper, who is a psychologist specializing in Black men mental health. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Mindful Podcast. This is your host, Michelle, and today we have Dr. Curtis, sorry. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. How you doing?
Great. Welcome to Florida.
Thank you.
How's your flight here?
Perfect flight.
You're coming all the way super far, right?
I know, right?
Atlanta.
Yeah. 4-hour flight. Yeah, it was great.
It's still a flight, right?
Yeah.
So it counts.
Yeah.
Traveling counts.
Got to go through the normal stuff, parking, security, those things. But
Perfect.
Florida's always a good getaway for me.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like half work, half getaway.
Absolutely.
That's the ideal job, right?
It is.
For those who don't know you, for our audience, could you please introduce yourself professionally? Little background.
Yes, I'm Dr. Curtis D. Jasper. I work, rest, and play in Atlanta, Georgia. My professional obligations are split amongst 3 areas. The 1/3 is private practice, the other 1/3 is teaching and lecturing, and the final piece is more of a public and motivational speaking, spreading awareness about Black mental health in particular.
And that would be the reason you're with us today, correct?
Yes.
How did you get into this particular field or specialty?
Right. So I stumbled upon the psychology industry, particularly the mental health aspect, as a client, as a patient. About 10 or 12 years ago, I found myself sitting in front of a number of mental health practitioners. Mm-hmm. Now, I wasn't unfamiliar with mental health because growing up in Chicago, raised by a single mom, I went to therapy as a high schooler, getting in trouble with the law and things of that nature, which turned out to be very beneficial for us as a family. So I wasn't unaware with, the benefits of receiving therapy and counseling. Okay. And then as a young professional, as a classroom teacher, one of my mentors suggested that I talk with the therapist just to prevent from getting burnt out, dealing with the bureaucracies in public education. So I went again as a young adult, as a classroom, as a young professional. And then years later, after I found what I thought was the American dream, I had gotten married, I had the children.
Wait, that's not the American dream?
No.
Hold up. All right.
You're right. They sold me on it. I moved to Atlanta. I got the house. I got the SUV. I got, all of the things, right? Yeah. Went back, got another degree. Life was good. Okay. So I thought. But then life got in the way for me, and I found myself having to seriously go talk with a number of professionals, and it took me a while. In short, around the same, I'll say about 5 years, I lost my mom. I actually moved my mother from Chicago to Atlanta and ended up burying her in Atlanta. Okay. That same year, the economy tanked. A couple years around the same time, right? I found myself in a very eventful divorce.
I love the way you say eventful.
Right. That's my new language.
For lack of a better word.
Exactly.
Eventful
10
divorce.
Years ago, whole different vocabulary, but eventful is the word.
I've grown, I've healed.
Healed, definitely. In financial ruin, lost everything, lost my family, my money, the houses. Then my dad transitioned, lost my dad, both parents to cancer, different forms of cancer.
I'm sorry.
And I was just wiped out. I had no emotional management techniques that I could use, right? I thought I could ambition my way out. I thought I could achieve my way out. None of it worked. Nobody, and I absolutely mean nobody, taught me about managing my reactions to my emotions, or what emotions really were at the time. And so I crashed, and I literally checked out for about 5 years.
5 years.
5 years, like.
That's a lot.
Bare minimum. Income was up and down. I went months without income. Had to sit in jail for a couple months. I mean, it got bad. Lost the house. But I did 2 things. 3 things. I kept working out. I stayed sober.
Great.
And I changed my diet.
Okay.
And I don't even remember how I came with those, but I needed something to grasp onto, and I chose those 3, and I'm glad I did, because they literally saved my life at the time. And so for about 5 years, I just took my time with healing. You know, I couch surfed for a little while, and I did what I needed to do. I did some consulting work, and then I went to see a 5th therapist. I'll never forget. I was done with therapy.
Okay.
I promised a friend of mine that I would go do,
one more time,
right? And the reason why I promised her is because she said she heard me say something that was totally in left field, right? And I don't even remember saying it. Like, I'm gonna hurt myself and everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, it got that bad. Panic attacks and things of that nature. Make a long story short, Michelle. I put my time in. Went to this 5th therapist. I went to 4 black therapists, and the 5th one was a middle-aged white man. And he had been a practitioner for about 35 years. And when I came in, I sat down in his office, and he said, all right, give me the drill, tell me the spill. And we did it. I talked for 40 minutes. And afterwards, he looked at me, and he said, you ever thought about becoming a therapist or any sort of mental health service provider? And I literally looked at him and said, dude, are you serious?
Like, what are you talking about?
Like, I'm not here for career counseling. Like, please shrink me. Yeah. Shrink this that's going on. Let me get up out of here.
Yeah.
Made good on the promise with my friend. And he spoke to my listening. He said, no, hear me out. He said, I've seen patients for more than 30 years. I'm about to retire. He said the entire mental health industry needs to be revamped. He says it doesn't address people of color, particularly black and brown males. He said, but I think this may be something for you. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, you should look at it. And he asked me how much schooling I had at the time. I went back. Make a long story short, about 3 days later, I left his office never to talk to a professional again. I started feeling lighter.
Okay.
Like physically, mentally, emotionally. I was staying in a buddy's basement, and I got up and I was like, I just felt lighter, and I got on it. The rest is history. Jumped back in school. I had dropped out a couple PhD programs. And
how old were you at that point in your life? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, 10 years ago. So no, actually, it was longer than that. So
you had already done one career, the all-American dream, and then you decided to come back to school and do it again.
Right.
That's amazing.
As part of my healing journey.
Yeah.
Like someone.
That was your new goal.
Propositioned me. A stranger. Just 50-minute conversation. He said, let this be your healing. And I took him up on it, and it changed my life. Yeah.
A few days later, how to become a mental health counselor.
I promise you, it went like that.
Oh, wow.
And I was mad, but it was healing.
Yeah.
Like I did it, and it got me through.
Okay.
And changed my life, and I'm happy I did it.
So that was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, that was, I started. His conversation was more than 10, so anywhere between 11 and 12, yeah, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great story, a great reason to get into the mental health career.
Right.
So once you discover this is your new calling. Now, where are you? So, okay, let's go back.
Okay.
You realized that there was a lack of culturally competent mental health providers within the mental health industry.
Yes.
And your strategy was to become a culturally competent person within the mental health community.
Yes.
Have you found that is actually happening? Or do you feel like you're helping the community when you provide the therapy to people like you?
Yes. As a whole, and even people who are not like me, meaning of not African Americans. It's sort of, in a small way, lets the entire industry off the hook, right? Because there's not, well, let me be clear, it's only about 4% of psychologists and mental health practitioners of color anyway, right? So the numbers are still staggering. We need lots more, but the context is necessary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the competency, the culture, the understanding, the beingness, the nuances, and I say that unapologetically because I know it to be so with other cultures, right?
Yes.
We just don't have to consider them in the same light.
I agree. Do you feel people, so we have white people and black people. I'm Hispanic. So I went to school to do psychology, right? And I remember my cultural class, and it was actually taught by an African-American Rastafari. So we got a lot of culture discussions and all of that. And I have my own culture, which is the Hispanic. Again, you mentioned black men, brown men. So I feel like not to compare, but again, different cultures. So when I go seek therapy, or when somebody goes to seek therapy, and do you believe that just because that therapist was trained or had 1 or 2 courses in that, they could become culturally competent? Or do you feel that's more like a life experience thing that you gained?
It's definitely a life experience. I think they can become culturally relevant to a degree, right? With just studies. I mean, we had to cross over. As a black man, I had to cross over to get a degree from major white institutions. I had to assimilate. But when it comes to connection, when it comes to healing, healing is a result of significance of a relationship. And what makes that easy is someone who has walked the walk and not just talk the talk.
Okay.
And I find there's a unique approach to mental health, specifically for black men, right? Even myself, starting as a patient, right? So I've been on both sides.
Okay.
I do a lot of counseling with therapists. So lots of my clients are therapists themselves. And they get to step out of the bureaucracy of mental health being a part of the greater medical health industrial complex. Let me be clear about that. Okay. And so they can kind of let their hair down professionally and just kind of
That's always nice.
Yeah. And so I do
No
that
judgment.
intense work. Yeah. I do that intense work. So, yes.
Okay. That's great. What are some of the struggles that the youth or black men in the African community face when we discuss mental health?
Lots. There's a hypermasculinity, not toxic masculinity, but hypermasculinity.
Okay.
And that's part of the culture, right?
Can you explain that a little bit more into depth for those that might not understand the concept?
Right. So, toxic masculinity is trending now. We see it on all social medias. It's when masculinity is overused and abused and it becomes toxic. But hypermasculinity is the overuse of sort of like cultural things that we learn as men, to rely on our strength and brute and aggressiveness and things of that nature, to sort of lean too heavily on achieving when it comes to, sexuality and things of that nature. So that's more of hyper masculinity. That is oftentimes referred to as toxic masculinity nowadays. So
multiple times.
Yeah. So this was hypermasculinity was started by 2 gentlemen. I forget the names at the time. Somewhere in the mid '80s, they did some research about hypermasculinity. And in the black community, I work with young boys now, especially in the age of social media and people being free with their sexuality and barely wearing clothes. I have to remind the young gentlemen that I'm privileged to serve that you don't have to lead with your sex organs. Like you're much more, you're much more
than that.
comprehensive. You're much more comprehensive than that, right? The rappers that you're emulating, they're much more comprehensive
Yes.
than that.
Sorry?
Give an example of hypermasculinity, like a specific case.
Let's use hip hop, right? Just the bravado, the excessive display of bravado, whether it's calling women out of their names and things of that nature, the excessive gesturing, all of those could be looked upon as being hypermasculinity. To have a need to express your masculinity in a very fragmented, limited form.
Okay.
Like whether it's toughness or language or grabbing your crotch or
the way you dress,
all that,
the way you express
the walk,
yourself,
all of that.
Coming all the way back to not receiving or not wanting mental health treatment, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, right.
You think stigma plays a big role as well?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lots of black men, both young and old, they don't always know how to articulate it. But what I know from my experience, both personally and professionally, is they are clear about the white coat syndrome.
There's a white coat syndrome.
There is a white coat syndrome. And they would rather not talk with a white coat, just like they would rather not talk to the police. There are certain things that are part of the culture, right? That's clear.
Yeah.
So if you are any part of the mental health or health period, they are reluctant unless it's absolutely necessary.
Okay. So like a doctor, they would disclose because it's necessary. If they end up in the ER, not voluntarily.
But they only see doctors in terms of emergency services. Right.
Exactly.
It's not a thing where, and I'm generalizing, of course, but, we're talking emergency.
Mm-hmm.
So the stigma is not as pervasive as I think mainstream makes it out to be. Like I said, it's more, there's some determining factors that I'm sure we'll touch on that makes that a thing, right? And accessibility is one. Right?
Yes.
The average man of color, either black or brown, they don't have access. They don't have insurance. They don't have cash, right? They don't even know it's a thing. They do know that one or two people in the neighborhood or the family were committed to a psychiatric thing and pronounced crazy or schizophrenic or bipolar or something like that. But that's as far as they know.
Yeah.
But as in terms of their sadness, their depression, nah.
They don't know.
Until recently.
Okay.
Until recently.
So how has that changed? You've been in this field a long time.
Yeah.
In regards to depression, for example, in the people of color in their community, how does that play a role? So
social media has played a big role. Because even the young guys that I talk to now, they'll say, hey, I think I'm depressed. Or, the languages now, it's not so taboo. The point I was making earlier is that before then, there was a few select. There were professional men who had benefits, and HR would say, hey, you missed 3 days. You need a doctor's appointment. And if you said you were going through a tough time of divorce, then they would say you probably should go talk to a counselor or therapist. Okay. But that was a small percentage who actually had access and resources.
Exactly.
Right.
Do you feel there's a difference in regards to mental health access, treatment facilities when we compare black men and white men?
Yes. Socioeconomically speaking. I mean, a white man could, for one, the industry leans towards him, so there's more practitioners who look like him. So he has access. He has choices, right? The other part is he has access without the label. So it's more conducive to share in a staff meeting that he had to take some mental health days, as opposed to a black man who's barely holding on to his employment, been late 5 times. The audacity of him now leaning on the fact that he was sad. He just didn't feel like coming to work today, right? So.
Yes. And then we can also add on top of that, if they are single fathers with children, low economic status.
Yes.
Childcare. How do I get to the therapy?
Absolutely.
Right? Don't have a car. The appointments don't work for them. We can talk here for 3 hours
Absolutely.
about all the barriers that they have to face within the mental health community. Now, can we talk a little bit, or can you explain to our audience about social systemic racism? Can we discuss
from a mental health standpoint or in general?
Both. Go ahead. No, from a mental health point. How does that affect the mental health community?
From a systemic racism standpoint, from a white supremacy standpoint, the industry is built on a more colonized approach to mental health, right? And so the small amount of research that were done on Black and brown people has to fit into this sort of macrocosm of this colonized approach to mental health that's generalized, right? It's just non-applicable for people from different cultures. That is the racism, right? That's the system. That's the systemic racism that is bestowed upon if, in fact, you go through your insurance to see a practitioner, white, brown, yellow, it doesn't matter. You are going to be put through the system that's based on...
It's based on
the colonized approach, absolutely. Mm-hmm. On a Western medicine, westernized medicine, mental health approach. So that's the systemic racism piece in and of itself.
Now, we already talked about not the toxicity of being a man. I'm sorry.
Right.
The hyper. So I learned about that. And we talked a little bit about the stigma within the Black community. Many choose religion over seeking treatment with their mental health issues. What are your thoughts on that? Also, if, for example, a therapist is listening to us right now that might not be African American and they have a client basing all their decisions on religion and always talking about religion, how can we help them differentiate or understand that mental health is important on top of the religion?
Yes. So the first part, to answer your first part, culturally, it has been passed down that we, generally speaking, as a Black community, address our problems two ways. We either keep it in-house and don't tell anybody.
Don't address it.
Or take it to the church and talk with the pastor. And so when things came about, that was, that's how we lived. That was passed down from generation to generation. Not to mention, there's an average Black community, there's a church on every corner, so the accessibility is there. Yeah. So if you could show up on a Wednesday or Tuesday and get past the church secretary and get you a few minutes with the pastor or one of the associate pastors, you were doing good work.
No appointment. It's free.
Yes. You got to put something in the tray,
I might start doing that too.
Right. So it was the accessibility, and it's what we knew. Right. But again, the impact of systemic racism, white coat syndrome, in the Black community, like, look, we're not putting these white folks in our business. Just go talk to the pastor and you'll be all right. Wrong approach.
Wrong approach.
But I do understand it.
Of course.
Wrong approach, but I do understand it. And so it has become more prevalent now. Right. So I would tell a therapist or any mental health practitioner to allow all things to come up. Right. And there's some legal things that I know we're all faced with, but there is a way. Right. And so the idea of church and state and religion and science has its place. Right. There is not a client that I've ever had an opportunity to work with that did not believe in a higher power. Okay. Right. And as practitioners, we would be remiss not to hold space to at least listen to that. Right. To include that. Right. Now, of course, there's some things in terms of treatment plans and things that just cannot go down from a state licensing standpoint, but it must be included. And as I mentioned before, I talk with therapists who, will pay as a direct pay and take a whole session just really, really allowing themselves to share from a faith religious standpoint. Okay. My strong personal and professional position is that they are both needed. And if we are focusing on true healing, complete healing, holistic healing, we have to include the science and the religion.
Yes, I completely agree with that. And you're going to have a better outcome if you're able to integrate both parts of the person. If not, please refer.
Right.
Refer the client.
Absolutely. Yes.
And don't be ashamed, right? If you really don't feel like this is something you can handle, it's not your specialty, or you can't have this empathy or understanding of the culture, then don't be afraid to refer.
Please do.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, refer to me.
Right.
He's in Atlanta, though.
Right.
Great. When you were going through your own struggles, growing up, through your divorce, the passing of your parents, how did you feel supported, if you did at all? Or what could the 5 therapists you saw, or maybe the 4th therapist you saw, what could they have done better to support you?
That's a great question. There were moments I felt supported from friends and family and loved ones, right? But something was missing there. It just wasn't what I needed. It's what I wanted at the time, but it wasn't fully what I needed. The professionals whom I visited, they approached my sessions from a colonized approach, right? They had the setup, they talked the talk, they used the clinical language, they did talking, they listened, they went right into, trying to diagnose, right? The loyalty.
Oh, okay.
They're loyal. They have to go towards where the loyalty resides. And if your loyalty resides in terms of getting paid by the insurance company, then you got to go that way. So
Of course.
the client,
they have to diagnose in order to get the money from the insurance, which is another main difference with private practice.
Yes.
Which Black men can usually not get to because of the socioeconomic status.
Absolutely.
So it's like
Vicious
it's a chain.
cycle, right? Exactly.
It's like domino effect,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it. And it sucks, but it's a
does.
reality. And we're here to talk about it.
Yes.
Because that's just how it is. White privileged men might say, well, just go to therapy, go to private practice. They can't. They can't, and that's their reality. And they have to go to the community health centers, go through the insurance.
Lots of different things.
Wasn't there a study where a psychologist started doing therapy in the barbershops?
Yes.
I forget.
Yeah.
What's the name?
I can't recall, but there's a few approaches that have really taken off viral online and experienced some real media coverage.
And it showed that they would, better report, more sharing. They felt like they were in their environment. And I think that's great.
Yeah, I do it. I include it. It's an all-inclusive approach to Black and brown males.
Okay.
Historically, culturally, we tribal people, right? So the idea of sitting around and listening to wise or elders or more informed people is what we do. They do it. We do it. We've always done it on approach in the hood, in the trap house, like in the barbershop. It's what we do. If we can mix some healing into that is one approach to introduce the idea of healing circles, as I like to call them, right? Yeah. It's group therapy in a session, in a sense. I do a group therapy session on Sundays for men, and we include a barbershop, sort of a,
You have them at the barbershops?
No, it's virtual.
Oh, okay.
Because it's guys from all over the country.
Nice.
But the approach is, what's up, man? Like, you see the game, like we get it in first, and then I sort of weave mine in the cracks.
Okay. So more like a humanistic approach.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with the younger guys, you have to reference pop cultural figures and rappers.
Yes.
You have to meet them where they are. This is how I practice in my office.
Exactly.
I wear brand new sneakers. I wear ripped jeans, and they sit in my office like this or on the Zoom, right?
They start their own conversation.
They do.
Like, what's up with the sneakers?
It's the connection. Their healing is as a result of the significance, and the significance is to see someone who looks like them, right? I purposely have my sleeves rolled up, right?
Okay.
The wall comes all the way down.
Yes.
The wall comes
the same, at least for me, the same happens with kids. I'm not trying to look this formal, trying to, talking
Right.
to a 10-year-old. I sit with them on the floor. If I have to play, I play, getting to their level.
Absolutely.
So I would assume it's the same with them. They want to see that, like you said, you look just like them.
Yeah. No,
Not
the
just
language-
culturally, but
Yeah, the language is there,
Yeah.
right? I don't water it down or dummy it down or get on their level.
Yeah.
But I let them know that who they are is enough, and they can be who they are, right?
Exactly.
Society is going to come for them. It is already. But when they are sharing space with me, they absolutely could be. I need them to be who they are. That's the only way I can assist you.
yeah.
That's the only way I can assist you.
And they get it.
They do. I mean, one of the things about black and brown males is they size you up. Part of their survival on the streets, they'll size you up in 10 seconds flat. Whether they're going to rock with you and be friends or whether they're going to rob you. Either way, they're going to size you up.
Exactly.
Because it's part of their survival.
Okay. And you're able to bring those walls down a little bit in therapy.
Well, they know.
They open up.
right? I don't have to tell them I'm from Chicago. They know enough. They see enough dudes walking there like, yeah, he definitely's not from the South. We're not sure where he's from. So I work with a mentoring organization. It's called Next Level Boys Academy on Saturday, and we work with boys who have had some challenges with the law. Right?
Okay.
And it's sort of like a second chance program. And there's some preventive measurements and intervention strategies in there. And we work with the young men. We meet them where they are. And solid, brilliant black and brown boys. And we meet every Saturday. Well, the organization meets almost 6 days a week to some degree.
Okay.
But I meet them every Saturday in person. And we have been for years.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
What you're doing alone,
Yeah.
it's just amazing. I'm sure you have a very big impact on your own community.
I like to hope so. Right?
Like to think so.
I like to think so and hope so, yes.
You mentioned preventative ways. What can we do as a society, or what can a black man do as preventative or to treat their own mental health for the ones that are listening?
Right. So to get into therapy, like I'm an advocate for therapy, sort of like going to the dentist. You don't have to wait till you get a cavity, right? I know the resources are somewhat challenging for a lot, but there are some things out there. So allow therapy to be a part of your team, like your primary care physician, your ortho, your attorney, right? When we get in trouble, we run to the people we need.
Yeah.
I'm offering to do that ahead of time and just see what it's like. There's group and support groups that's out there. That's one way. Just men, both young and old, to do a better job of taking care of yourself from an emotional, mental, spiritual, and psychological standpoint. The other part is through the school system, right? I would go so far to say 90% of my clients have had some form of labeling, which started in elementary or middle school.
Yes,
Period.
not surprised.
Yeah. So their parents are actually on the trajectory like, fix my child. The school system said he was ADHD. 10 years ago, nah, it's this. Like, they are on that. And I was like, no, that's not what we're doing here, right? And so there is research to suggest that it starts for black boys around 2nd or 3rd grade. Once they are not able to sit still, black and brown.
Then they get labeled.
They get pushed through, and you can just follow where the money goes, right? You can follow where the money goes, and they stay in that, right? That whole guilt and shame that comes with labeling in their formative years. We're talking 7, 8-year-olds who have been told right after as they're forming, that you are broken, and someone's going to have to work with you for the rest of your days.
Yeah. I can only imagine.
It's definite.
Yeah. I mean, not to take away for those who actually need the help.
Correct.
But judging everybody coming as if they were coming from the same garden. Like,
correct.
It's not.
You're talking 78%. At least when I was teaching, 78%, close to 80% of educators were women, and most of them were white women.
Yeah.
Right? So you're talking a class. And the jobs are in the inner cities, right? Right? They're not necessarily retiring out in the suburbs and small towns.
Yes.
Those teachers are there. So you come to the city, your young white girl straight out of undergrad, You got 25 students, 12 of them are black and brown boys.
How do they handle it? Or how did you guide your own staff when you were an educator how did you educate your own staff about being culturally competent when dealing with African American students?
Good question. So I told my story, right? I had an excellent educational background. I was fortunate enough to be bused from the hood to a middle and upper middle class neighborhood at a top school. So I went to a top elementary and middle school, right, which served me well. And I had the same teacher for 5 years in a row. He was a white male. Can you believe that?
Okay,
right? Like,
that's crazy.
My life is crazy, right? Right. Same white
You do
male.
have a story.
And I was a typical black kid, acting out, didn't have the transferable skills coming from a working poor class,
Family,
had to become on the bus ride from my house to the school. I had to transition. I had to become bicultural in a non-traditional sense. Right? I was one of the few students who were on the free lunch program.
One
of it. It was probably two of us in my class.
Okay.
And I was one of them. Now, academically, I could compete. Socially, I could compete. Athletically, I compete. I had the street cred. I fit in, but I felt inadequate because I knew they had resources.
Okay. And you had to go back to your regular life that was not in the suburbs.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Now, the school was in the city. It was just in a great part of the city. I went to school near the University of Chicago, in the Hyde Park neighborhood. And I'm glad I did, So when I became a teacher, I was able to meet, black children where they were, right? Always been able to connect with young people, period. It's rare that I haven't been able to. And this is for the girls as well. So when I became an administrator, I drove that seek significant. No learning takes place unless there's significance. Mm-hmm. If you don't validate them, they don't hear you. They got enough people yelling and screaming at them. So I told my stories and I worked them and I asked them to be more than practitioners. I challenged them to be researchers. I asked them to be community activists and I rewarded them and they didn't all like it. And I got rid of bad teachers though. Let me be clear. I got rid of bad teachers.
You did?
Yes. Unapologetic.
You're like, I did,
go.
I'll do it again. If you're listening to me right now, I don't regret it.
You gotta go. You are not.
I mean,
you're not going to diminish other people's children. No one's doing it at, your job. We're not doing that here. So, thank you for asking that.
No, taking you back.
Right.
To the good
I'm like,
old
now I got to go lay down, right?
You're like, wait, I'm having PTSD.
Now I got to take a nap.
Oh my God. No, well, I mean, I think it's important, you've done so many jobs, you've worn so many different hats that, again, we're addressing the same issue in mental health outside as an adult, but it's important as the youth now.
Yes.
Like you need to be involved and have an impact since they're little, elementary if possible. And if everybody could have a little bit more empathy, culturalize themselves, be researchers, like you said, then I feel like it would make a big difference.
Agree.
I feel knowledge is power. I know it's kind of tacky, but if you educate yourself, it's not your fault somebody didn't educate you, but if you don't take the time to educate yourself, then it's on you.
Yeah. You got to get in the trenches.
Yes. 2022, we got to address the issues, the stigmas.
Absolutely.
It's there. We can't deny it anymore. And we would be wrong if we keep denying all of this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What are some effective treatments in regards to therapy that you suggest when we talk about theories or techniques?
Right. So this is going to be interesting. That I'm about to say, right? And so we go back to being culturally competent, right? I 100% strive to take a non-colonized approach to practicing mental health and counseling, right? And so one of the things that I offer black and brown males is I listen to them. 99% of black and brown males have not been heard. They have not been heard. They'll talk, somebody's trying to fix them. They'll say something out, this is what you should do. They have not been heard, which means they have not had an opportunity to be fully expressed. Okay. And when you listen to a black or brown male, you'll find out what his needs are. you'll find out where he's hurting, right? But he has to be heard.
So active listening.
You have to do it, and that's going to take some time.
I think that goes for any type of relationship in general.
Yeah, I think so, right? Like, what? How did we get pushed out of that? Like,
I had somebody else in the podcast the other week, and we're talking about relationships and love relationships. And again, same thing.
Relationships is the next big thing, please.
Active listening for everything.
For
in
sure.
Therapy, outside of therapy. Yes, completely agree.
They haven't been heard.
They haven't.
They talk. I let them go the whole session. They're like, man, I didn't even know that was in there. Man, I know I was all over the place. Man, I know that sounds crazy. I was like, no, I'm with you.
Okay.
They was like, what?
It's almost weird for them.
It is. They like, you didn't interrupt me. Like, you listened for like the whole hour.
Like, you really want to listen?
I was like, yeah, every now and again I jot down some notes. I was like, I'm here.
Yeah. It'll be my turn to speak next time.
Yeah. Like, that whole session, they're like, and it's in there, so it's going to come out.
Yeah.
It's in there. But not trying to fix, not trying to diagnose, not trying to suggest. We hadn't gotten there yet.
Okay.
We hadn't gotten there yet.
So you really get to know them.
Absolutely.
Know them for who they are, their story, their background.
And it's real easy because we're all faced with the same challenges. So, we all share it, including me. I'm not exempt as a 51-year-old black man from some of the things that the 18, 25-year-olds come in.
Yeah.
Right? I had a felony on my record. I'm divorced, right? I've lost. I've won, right? I've sat in jail. I've spent time away from my kids, right? I've gotten behind on child support. I've been there. In some areas, I'm still there, right? But also buy sneakers and
I'm also into fly outfits, so don't mind me.
I also post on Instagram 3 times a day, right? Regular dude, right?
Do you choose, as a therapist, do you choose to self-disclose a lot with African American men clients?
Yeah, not in sessions, of course.
Okay.
But I'm pretty transparent out there, so it's a lot of resources. There's 10-year videos, TED Talks.
So they get to that on their own.
I ask them to do that and then make the decision on whether they're going to choose me or not.
Oh, really?
Right.
That's so interesting.
I don't do any paperwork, don't take no money. Even if a mother called me, a husband or wife, I'm like,
this is me. Go
research
research me a little bit.
If I'm his dude, then we good. If not, just
that probably saves a lot of time because I hear a lot of people not being able to build rapport with a lot of therapists, and then they have to keep switching, and it's so hard to find one. That 2 and 3 it's
disheartening. Yeah,
it's hard.
It is.
So that's a great strategy.
Yeah.
Do a self video. Be like, here, watch me. This is my vibe. Let me know if you want to write it or not.
Instagram, Facebook. Okay. I'm on Twitter. Like I tell, I'm not on TikTok, but close enough. I got some reels, and it really makes a difference, right? It really they know that I'm on their side, right?
Yeah. I think your message is wonderful, and what you're trying to do is wonderful. I think we need more people to target the African American people within the mental health community. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you can tell somebody to encourage them to go towards the mental health pathway as a therapist? Because we need more.
Yes. I would encourage, particularly black and brown males who have done some level of healing in their life, on their life journey, and are in a position to give back. You may not go get a doctorate in psychology or a psych doc. You may not. But there's levels to contributing. There's certifications. There's mentoring. There's levels to sort of bridge the gap, the pathway of taking a black or brown male on the journey to the healing recovery. And so, if that's you, I just encourage you to find your niche, right? Find your niche. And lots of the young men I called, they was like, man, I think I could do this.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, bro, it's going to cost you a lot of money, a lot of time, but be my guest. I may be around.
Yes.
Do it. And so they take a liking to the healing part and taking a stand. We need more black men in the mental health industry. What I'd like to say industry-wide for mental health is that we need to also put a stronger emphasis on emotional health and emotional wellness, right?
Okay.
Because the underbelly of most of the mental health challenges is emotional unrest, right? It's trauma, it's pain, it's so much pain, right? And I'm only talking about black and brown boys, right?
Yeah.
And when I'll give you an example of what I mean, right? So, statistics suggest that 1 out of 4 males have been sexually violated. That includes the young black and brown boys in the hood, in the trap houses, in the communities, right? And so to struggle with their identity, their sexuality, their masculinity, it's no wonder that we see excessiveness in terms of hypermasculinity, right?
Yes.
And I'm not saying this because I don't know it. I actually walk this pathway with black and brown males of all ages every single week. And I'm talking from 10-year-olds up to highly functioning surgeons and pastors, like everybody. You wouldn't, professional athletes.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It's a thing. So there's an emotional that eventually creeps up into that mentality years later.
Yes.
But emotionally, they have been damaged and they need healing. They have been wounded and they need healing. They don't need fixing, they need healing.
Exactly. They really need to learn a few tools that they can use and take everything out, go through the process of healing.
Right.
Yes.
Can you imagine being violated sexually at your pubescent or adolescent stage and then having to question your sexuality?
Exactly.
And you got a family of your own because of that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just speaking from my experience working with black men. Like questioning that.
I've had experience working with children from Hispanic cultures that have gone through the same. So I get it. And then coming to this country with that trauma. So, and it's trauma on top of trauma. So.
Right, that's just this trauma.
Yeah, that's one event out of everything else.
Absolutely.
Even the way they get here to the United States is a whole other. Coming here, new school, new language, So I get it.
Oh, yeah.
I get it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I cannot imagine.
Right. So again, the sexual violation goes both ways. Right. It's just not the same sex or gender. It's the opposite as well. So, needless to say, it's a violation. It's a huge violation that has long-term effects. Right. The majority of the young men who have gotten in trouble with the law and in school, most of them have been sexually violated at some point. Most of them. Right? Of course, if you've been sexually violated and you questioning your sexuality and your identity, of course, part of your hyper masculinity expression is picking up a gun.
Yes.
At least black and brown boys that I know of. That's part of it. No one's going to try me again. I'm picking up this gun. This is my power.
Okay. And how do you address that power when they come to you? How do you get them from here to here in a sense of, healing journey?
It depends, right? As you know, we don't save them all. Some of them get second chances, and we just start the healing journey. There's a mentoring and coaching piece that goes along with that. There's some accountability and support in addition to counseling and therapy.
Okay.
But it just depends on no situation, obviously, is the same, but the patterns of behavior are very, very similar and predictable in a lot of instances. So, right. And so to be heard, again, to be able to speak on it, as the young people say, without being judged, right? They can sit here and they know it's 1,000,000% confidential. They can tell me, and just to get it out, because, the trauma is stored in the body. It impacts the mind, but it's actually stored in the body. And so it comes out in destructive ways. But when they have a safe space to talk it out, that's when the healing journey begins. And I give them strategies and tools to say, it makes sense that you would be here questioning, here thinking, here feeling, here as a result of the previously lived experience.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
and
about
almost
right.
like separate that from you helping them not identify themselves with whatever happened in the past. So
Correct.
you are not the problem. This was the problem, and we're going to separate it from your identity so you're able to accept it and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I work with parents. Parents come and they say, hey, same, there's an education piece. Do a lot of parenting.
Yes.
Education. Yeah. Parent.
Gotta love it.
My child is gay, lesbian, gay, or whatever. And I'm like, okay. Okay. And I have to tell a parent, this is your child. Mm-hmm. This is their sexuality. I need you to love this one and let me work with you on this one. Okay. And like, oh, okay. Like, come on now. Like, knock it off first, right? Like, this is sexuality, right? They got education, they got personality, they got other parts of their life. Love them and let me work with you here. Not them, you. Mm-hmm. You. And put it in perspective. They look at me like, did he just,
crazy.
Yeah, they look at me like, did he just come for me? Yeah. Yes, I am a young person advocate. Okay. Professionally, I beat up on parents every single day on behalf of children.
Same.
Right, exactly.
Same.
Every single
Child
day.
advocate, 100%. No, but it's so important because at least I've seen with my parents that, not my parents, the parents of my clients, mm-hmm. that after you give them a little bit of psychoeducation, sometimes that's all they need. They just really don't know.
Correct.
Or they come from a place where that was not taught or accepted. Mm-hmm. Religion plays a big part. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I've had to sit down and have really strong conversations about the same subject, LGBTQ, and religion was involved. And at the end of the day, I had to just throw statistics. I'm like, I'm sorry. 1 in every 4 kids commit suicide because their parents are not supportive. Yep. You do what you want to do. And that right there, it's like a game changer. Absolutely. Because I think they get it. They don't know. They don't know. They've never had to deal with it. Some don't know how to talk about it. Mm-hmm. And it's an important part of the therapy session when we do family therapy to provide them with this information that they might not have.
Absolutely.
Other families, part of their family might not even understand it, so they're going to them for support. They don't even know. You know, we're the professionals. We're the ones that have to teach them the ways. Yeah. You know, but no, it's very important.
The parenting
very
piece
true.
Is huge.
Yes.
Parent, I get a lot of that. Mom comes like, oh, he's 10 years old. He's looking at. I saw he was looking at porn. I said, so let me guess.
Is he sick?
So let me guess. He has an iPhone 20 that he gets to sleep with 24 hours a day. That you bought him for $1,300. Yeah. That's not in your room on the charger, and you worried that he's watching porn?
Interesting. How? And he's 12, going through hormonal changes, which is normal.
You gave him access to the world for $1,300, and you call me to fix him? He not the problem. You are.
Yeah.
You set it up like that.
Exactly.
Did you just say that? Yes. I get these, I had to tell parents, I get these calls every week.
At least don't be surprised. Own it. Proactive. You're like, okay, I get it.
Get proactive. There's systems in place where you can monitor that. Shut it off. Like, I got high-tech parents. Parents get into the kid want to do the dishes, they shut the phone off. They shut the Wi-Fi off, block certain sites. Like, I got some techie parents that monitors, but the ones who are not, step your game up. If you're going to give him a $1,300 phone, step your game up.
Yes. Oh, mine has begged me for the new iPhone at least 13,000 times since they announced it. And I'm like, no, I don't even have the new iPhone. What makes you think I'm going to buy you? You get my old phones. Mm-hmm. And if I change every 2 or 3 years, you're always going to be 2 or 3 years behind.
Right, absolutely.
Oh, no. I was like, I don't know what to tell you. Get a job.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Get a job.
With the children.
You're 12. Good luck with that. Let me know how that goes. But yes, they're very technologically advanced and exposed to a lot of things that we were not exposed.
Absolutely.
Like, we weren't even exposed to those things, and we still found our ways to magazines.
Yes.
So I can only imagine just opening your phone.
Or your friend's phone.
Porn.
On the bus.
Yep.
Look here. Like, it's crazy.
It gives us so many issues at the school.
And I'm sure.
Yeah, with technology. But yeah, that's a whole. We're gonna invite you back so we could talk about education issues.
Let's get back to mental health, right?
You're gonna have to come back and talk to me. What has been your experience with African American men in mental health that have grown in a single family home?
Generally speaking, and I will include myself, we are mostly emotionally illiterate, right? We simply don't have a clue about emotions, how they work, what they are. Now, we know our default emotion is anger, right? So we either being pleasured, which we're not even clear what happiness is, which is a fleeting, but we're clear about being angry. So we go there, right? So part of the treatment is the educational piece, is teaching the average male, more times than not, on what it means to be emotionally literate, right? Like this emotion is this is that, going through that. And then teaching them to sort of check in their bodies from an awareness standpoint, right? We do, in the mental health industry, we spend too much time up here, not enough time here, right? And this is where all the magic is, right? Okay. This is where it's stored, right? And so we go through the literacy part, then the awareness part, right? Then we build the intelligence part, and then the last part is the fitness part. So I take a 4-pronged approach. Increase the emotional literacy. What is emotions? How I feel? What's the name of it? How to identify it? Then to practice the pause, check in with your body, sort of be with it without running away from it. Then up in your EQ, like, monitoring yourself. Like, what does this mean without labeling and diminishing yourself? And the fourth part is the fitness piece. And most of the males know what that means. You have to practice monitoring your reactions to your emotions. So here's one of my pet peeves in the industry. You hear this talking like, oh yeah, you gotta manage your emotions. And that's not how emotions work. You can't manage your emotions. Yes. You can manage your reactions to your emotions. Okay. Right? That's a whole different skill set and concept that needs to be taught. Right? It's okay to feel sad, just like it's okay to feel happy. Right? There's nothing to do directly when you're feeling bad to make you feel good long term. Now, there's some numbing things, right? Like, you could scream and punch and yell, you can drink and drugs and sex, you can do all of that. But you have to understand how emotions. So I do teach them how emotions work. Okay. Started from the thinking to the feeling to feelings emoting, and then allowing them to run their course without you physically trying to impede that process. Yes. Right? It's sort of like getting that Porsche or that Charger up to 100 on I-95. Once you get up to 100, you can't slam on the brakes. You just got to take your foot off the accelerator and just let it coast. Yeah, right. Let it in and out. That's it. Let it to finish. Yeah. And most of the reason why black males, in my opinion, and brown males, part of our crashing out is what they term, is that we don't like feeling bad. And the moments we start feeling bad, we immediately go into some type of action or behavior to offset those bad feelings, which causes a host of other challenges because we don't know how emotions work. I tell black boys, first session after I listen to them, I need you to stop telling the stories that don't feel good to you as you tell them to yourself, so you can heal. I need you to practice breathing. Right? I need you to practice breathing. And I need you to pause. Right? Just wait. Slow it all the way down. Someone sends you a text, I need you to sit the phone down. Mm-hmm.
That's very important.
Yeah, like just practice the pause. Yes. And I'll tell them.
Pause will save you.
Look, you've seen more of your homies get killed and go to jail in 3 seconds. Mm-hmm. They're like, you know, Doc, I'm from the same place y'all from. I know 3 seconds. If they had to wait 3 seconds. And 3 seconds is a long time. And I'm talking 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. So by the time, if you had a pause as opposed to popped your trunk and pulled that pistol, or, so practice the pause. Yeah. Right? Practice the pause. And just basic stuff. Breathe, right? Now, most of them, they're like, I know we didn't pay him all his money for him to tell us how to breathe. But then I said, look, you play football or basketball, right? What your coach tell you? Like, there's not a black or brown boy who's played any athletics who's not clear on how breath works.
Yes.
You have to speak in the way that they get it. It's like, all right, what your coach say?
Exactly. You put it too technical.
That's
then,
it. Just get on a bit. What do you say? Breathe in boxing ring. Breathe. Like, which sport like, what is it? Track, football, basketball. Just the only reason you're here is because you have breath in your life. I'm going to teach you how to use it, and it's going to change your life. 6 months down the road, 95% of my man said, I thought you was on some BS about that breath work, but it's a real deal, right? I told you.
Yeah, it sounds basic, but it's not.
I said, bro, I don't do anything without breathing. Before I walked in with you, I had to breathe.
And pause. Yeah.
Just clear it out, right? I got my own stuff. I got bills. I got kids. I got stuff. I got to... And that becomes our game. And it works 100% of the time for those who practice. So that's a basic one that I use to teach
that
them.
Anybody can use.
Yeah. Manage the reaction. Don't worry about the emotion itself. Right? You skip over a bunch of emotions. You're mad because you don't like feeling bad. But you skipped over irritation and annoyance and frustration and guilt and shame. And like you skipped over hooks. They're like, wow.
Yeah.
If you finished annoyance, you would not have gotten mad at yourself, then projected it out and did something crazy that changed your life.
Exactly. That's very important.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's time to conclude. I want to say thank you. I want to give you an opportunity to tell people where they can find you, your websites, your Instagram. We are going to put all the information in the description.
Okay.
But any last message to our audience?
Yes. Let's all just take responsibility, starting with healing ourselves, right? All of us have some healing to do. It's my knowing is that there are no exceptions to that. And it don't have to be deep woundedness, but let's all start with healing ourselves, our families, our communities, and then the global and national communities in terms of healing, taking good care of ourselves from the inside out. And I like to be a part of that conversation, and it's easy to include me in that because I'm all over social media. Mm-hmm. So I'm on Instagram as I am Dr. Kurt. I'm on Facebook and Twitter as Dr. Curtis D. Jasper. I have a website, drcurtisdjasper.com. There's several other links on that website. Psychology Today. A Google search will put you.
Yeah, the TED Talk. Yeah, probably
TED Talk on
TED
YouTube.
Talk.
On YouTube that I did last year at Georgia Tech. Host of videos, so I'm pretty accessible.
Yeah.
And I got a couple books out there. It's a workbook and a journal and about 5 publications. And I do have a book that's coming out that I got to get on.
Congrats.
Yes. I'm holding back. Someone asked me about the book. I felt bad. I was like, I did have a book. So to be clear, I'm holding myself accountable. I got a new book coming out. I'll post it soon. So hold me accountable, y'all.
Exactly your message.
Yes.
Hold yourself accountable.
Exactly.
That's great. Well, thank you for coming again.
I appreciate you
I hope
so
you
much.
enjoy the rest of your Florida trip. I know it's not long. Maybe a nice dinner.
Right, I want to get it in.
Oh my God. And thank you. Thank you everybody else for listening. Don't forget to tune in next week and subscribe. Follow and subscribe.